everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Lifting. Today's episode is being recorded on 6/13/25. Another Q&A, folks. Got another batch of them in. This will probably be the last one you see until post-conference. So you've seen a rash of them come in, and I don't mean a rash in a bad way. I mean a rash in a good way. And this is where I will have to cap it until post-conference. So for these types of episodes. So before we go into any of the meat of the conversation, I now open this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So, Joanna?
We are all one, and when one is harmed, all are harmed. When one is helped, all are helped. Therefore, in the name of who I am, and I am one with all there is, that only the highest good be done. We pray for you, your friends, your family, to let healing energies in. Let them love you, let them nourish you, and let them bring you to your highest good. We ask for benevolence now to come in with no conflicting agenda so that we may have this conversation and great understanding. And we ask for mischievous or malevolent type beings to be swept away right now so that we may have this conversation in peace. And with that, and with great blessings that we always send your way, we say, so be it.
And so be it. And this is an interesting affirmation of blessing because there are three that are going to speak this evening. So we had to go in here. This is going to be a bit of a longie, folks. So probably like that number 8 episode you saw that time. So affirmation and blessing. To those that see themselves as one and whole, I say that you have either achieved greatness or that you are a liar. Either way, you are confident in that fact. But in one way, you are in your greatest state of being, and in the other, you simply lack. With lack comes low confidence. With low confidence comes low frequency. With low frequency comes low health. And with low health comes with low confidence. You must not fall into your demons, for they will consume every part of your being. Find that part of you that feels or that feeds your passions and your soul. Then your body will follow if you feed it right. If you find that deepest, darkest part of you, that is the area that you must look at first. When you do, great things happen. If you don't, you feed the demon of your own making. Channeling of actor, martial artist, and philosopher Bruce Lee. So that was actually a very interesting one. And here's the first question.
Okay, and this apparently was for Bruce Lee. What was your true cause of death?
This was actually interesting. He went into a lot of poetics. His son Brandon was a slight contrary, a little bit in this way. But the cause of my death were my very own demons. From my childhood on into adulthood, I had a vision of death, a vision of life not lived, an oppressive entity that haunted my dreams of late, a demon that fell within my family tree. My lineage had a curse. My son Brandon felt its end. I, with my thoughts, kept it away, and within my fears, it found a home. My mirror fell in a storm. I gave far too much power to it. And in the end, the curse took me. But I and Brandon win in the end. You know, centuries-old curses have a funny way of withering out and dying. Not with a yell nor a whisper, but in the silent dark of night. The dark of night of the soul, or the dark night of the soul. I hope this answers. I hope peace, calm, and quick resolutions to challenging times find you, dear lady. And to you, my channeler, please know that all curses end on swift winds and with the end of the darkest nights. Goodbye and good night, Bruce Lee. So also he did a lot of ferreting out in Hollywood too. That's also another demon there that got him. So all right, we go on to this was another part to this was slightly unexpected. Brandon wishes to speak for a moment. Hello, I will say only that yes, the bullet was the end to the family curse, but I also was murdered because of things that I saw. Just like with James Dean and the cursed car was made up to cover up his murder. Alec Guinness knows what I mean, but there was also a lineage curse in play. One that claimed me through both pride and ego. It claimed me through thinking that I was untouchable, but yet here we are. Like Alec Baldwin shooting Helena Hutchins with supposedly blanks in the gun, as was I sacrificed in the very same manner. He here just asked me if Michael Massey knew that he was the unwitting pawn in this sick game. That's Brandon Lee's best friend, by the way. And the answer is no, he did not. Alec Baldwin, on the other hand, did know. Just saying. Thank you both. We will be in touch. Good night to you all. Channeling of Bruce Lee and Brandon Lee. So yeah, that was more of that finding things and seeing things in Hollywood, having a white knight, mentality going in and trying to change things. What he meant by the whole cursed car thing was everybody knows the whole legend surrounding James Dean and the cursed car. It really was a murder. But then Alec Guinness got on the news and pretty much did an interview and said, "I told him not to get in that car; he would die." That was really basically him and that Hollywood crowd admitting that they killed him. So just for context, in that sometimes they disguise it as curses, but they really were the curse. So all right, we will go on to the next one.
We've seen things about some vicious, white, spindly, but very strong and fast, with razor teeth and long arms and fingers with claws, very tall too, like underground. Are these real beings or fiction? There is something like them in the last Hunger Games when they were in the underground and Finn was killed by them.
Yeah, I remember this too. So yeah. Yes, these beings are indeed real. They are a remnant of an ancient war, both of genetics and that radio activity, that of radioactivity, or radioactive activity, excuse me. I typed that wrong. They began as a familiar, then morphed into what you are speaking of. Some were robotic, like the white ones of Antarctica, but these are feral and vicious, not unlike the wild men of Appalachia, but can be worse. Luckily, there are not many of them left. Steer clear, please, if noticed and or found. That was by Fuma. There's the wild men of Appalachia. Then you have these creepy things that were depicted, and these are not. I mean, there's also, of course, the White Walkers of your Game of Thrones too, but that's more dark elf, tall white Lancaster territory. But this was more robotics of Atlantis type of thing, and also genetic mutants around from that time as well. So, okay, we can go on to. All right. All right. We can go on to the next one.
Prince, why did you invite Diddy over after Michael Jackson passed away?
This was actually very simple, very poignant and simple answer. I happen to agree. Simple, Chris. One must keep their friends close, but keep their enemies even closer still. He needed to be watched, always. Still does. That's all I got for that. Peace out, Prince. And that was just very direct and to the point. I happen to agree. He was some of the white knight types in Hollywood that controlled or not, they tried to keep an eye on this, or like Brandon Lee, they just kept barreling along and eventually they were slated for sacrifice. So right on the set of the crow, no less. So okay, we can go into this. This is the question right there. I know it's small, but you want me to read it?
Have you ever heard of the face peelers or
Of Peru.
of Peru? Okay.
Okay. And there's a link. I will actually, let's see if I can click on this real fast because okay. All right. I will this was actually, I know where the link is. Let me click it real fast. If the application would open it. put this on screen share. This isn't very long, so.
This is a legend that goes back decades in Peru, and she saw this person dressed head to foot in black body armor, flying on a disc, and he took a nasal syringe and he sucked it up and shot it up her nose. You can see the two incision lines. One was here and then the other one right under. She's passed out at this point. He floated up next to her and then he landed next to her. And he grabbed her from behind, he put his hand over her mouth. When we went into the village, it's the evening, and in the Amazon, you know, in the evening in the plaza, all the men are playing soccer, all the women are playing volleyball. And so we're walking around, everyone's kind of just having fun playing soccer or volleyball. And we look over and we see this girl sitting all by herself, 15-year-old girl, sitting up against a hut. And she's just all by herself, just sitting there. And
I do realize this is 14 minutes long, but this is actually, this has all the context in it, so I gotta play this one.
And the Apu informed us that that was Talia. And I said, well, can we talk to her? He said, well, I'll talk to her dad and see if her dad can approach her because she's very traumatized. And so we're standing there, and the Apu goes to find the father, and she looks over at us, me and Doug. And we're pretty imposing characters. I mean, you know, Doug's a big guy, and I'm tall, and we're imposing looking gringos. We got a machete and so forth. She looks over at us. She casually glances at us. And as soon as she sees us, she starts to tremble. And she's maybe, I don't know, maybe 20, 30 yards away. She sees us, she instantly starts to tremble. And she takes her hair and she moves it to the side of her face to block us from seeing her face. You understand what I'm saying? She takes her hair and moves, and she's sitting there trembling. And she starts to block her face like this. And instantly I recognize, wow, this is serious trauma. And our heart broke for this girl. And the father went over to her and talked to her and tried to convince her to come over and talk to us. And she wouldn't come. She got up and ran away. And the father, he came over and said, she's just really, really traumatized. And he said, but here's what I want you to do. Come by tomorrow morning to my house and I will bring her. And you guys will be able to talk to her. So that's what we did. The following morning, we visited their home and we waited in the backyard, and the father eventually was able to convince Talia to come and talk to us. And when I encountered Talia, when she saw me, she started to cry, and she was trembling uncontrollably. And she started to cry, and again, our hearts broke for this girl, obviously severe PTSD, and we were triggering it. So she related her story. I was eventually able, it took a while, you know, for her to warm up to us. She was associating me and Doug with her assailants. So, and you'll understand why in a minute. So she had this PTSD and she was associating us with the assailants. So I interviewed her, and she told me that one evening back in July, she was in her backyard and she had this long stick and she was trying to knock down some fruit from the tree to make a drink out of it for dinner. And the sun is just starting to go down. And again, the incursions only happened after dark, or as it was getting dark. And she knocked down a fruit from the tree and she bent over to pick up the fruit. And when she bent over, she felt a wind at her back, and the dry leaves began to rustle at her feet. And she looked up to see what was generating this wind, and she saw this person dressed head to foot in black body armor, flying on a disc, and she went like this. He was flying on a disc, and behind her house, there's like a little gully, and it's a forested gully, so it's jungle back there. And then around this little forested gully, there's other houses. And there's a little hill that comes up to her house. And this assailant, who they all were calling again Pelacata, the face peeler, he floated up next to her, and then he landed next to her. And he grabbed her from behind, he put his hand over her mouth. And then she saw another one coming behind him in the same manner, floating, like surfing up on this hoverboard, this circular platform. He floats up the hill, lands in front of her, and he grabs her legs. So now she's being held from behind by one assailant, and then her legs, the other guy has her legs. And they lift her up together on their hoverboards, on their circular discs. They lift her up and they fly her behind like this thatch roof chicken coop. And then they land. And her mouth is covered. And then they proceed, the one who was holding her feet, he took out a powder. And then he took some sort of a solution and he mixed it in the powder. And then he took a nasal syringe and he sucked it up and shot it up her nose. And this made her feel sedated. And then they took out a long tube, looked like a toothpaste tube or something, and this had a cream in it. And the guy that was holding her mouth from behind, he started to smear this cream all over her face. And as he was doing it, the guy in front said, be careful. Don't put too much on. Don't apply too much because you're going to ruin the flesh. That's what she said.
In English?
So this is the first time that now we're hearing testimony that these assailants, of these assailants speaking.
Was it
They spoke in
English?
Spanish.
In Spanish.
Yeah, so she referred to the larger one was taller than the other. The larger one was taller than me. The other one was at least as tall as me, if not taller. She referred to the larger one as the gringo. And the shorter one, who was still taller than me, as the Peruvian. Because when they spoke, the larger one had a gringo accent, Spanish accent, and the other one sounded just like them. He sounded Peruvian. So he didn't have an accent. And so after they applied this stuff to her face, they take out what Doug and I think is a laser scalpel. They take out this little device that has like a laser light on it, and they begin to make an incision under her jawline. And she starts to struggle. And so they actually restarted the incision. So you can see in photos of her and in the videos that I published on YouTube, you can see the two incision lines. One was here and then the other one right under. And as they're beginning to cut under her jawline, she's struggling. This is the last energy she has. She starts to freak out, and she gets her hand underneath the helmet of the guy behind her that still has his hand over her mouth, right? And she starts to lift up on the helmet. And he gets agitated and he freaks out a little bit because he doesn't want his face to be seen, apparently. That's what she told me. He freaks out for a second and they drop her. And when they drop her, she lets out a blood-curdling scream. And remember, the villages are in a state of high vigilance. So the men are all sitting in front of their houses with shotguns and flashlights. This is not the first incursion. They know something's going on. They're aware of these assailants, so they're ready. So when she screams, her brother and a group of other villagers who live in proximity to her house come running instantly. Like they're on the scene in 20 seconds. And I talked to them. They showed up with their flashlights and their shotguns. And what they saw was Talia laying on the ground, bloodied up, blood all over her face and neck. She's passed out at this point, and the assailants are hovering like this on their circular platforms. And Talia, before she passed out, after she screamed, she said that the assailant said, let's go, we got to get out of here. And then one of them said, no, we can't just leave her here. And so they tried to drag her up the hill as they're floating on their platforms. They tried to drag her up the hill, but they dropped her because the other villagers were on the scene. And so the villagers are there with their flashlights trained on these guys, two of them, and they maneuver to where there's an opening in the canopy, and they shoot up through the canopy. And Talia was, of course, unconscious, and her face had swollen up. She said whatever that cream was that they applied to her face, it made her face swell up, made her flesh swell up on her face. They took Talia to a village down the river where they have a better medical installation, and they treated her wounds. And eventually, when she came to, which I think was the next day, her face was swollen for 3 days. She was in the medical facility for a while. They diagnosed her with severe PTSD after this event. And she had severe PTSD when I was talking to her, trembling. She was talking very quietly and obviously just very traumatized.
Mhm.
And her father was traumatized. Her father was there as we were talking. He was filling in some of the details. And so obviously something horrific had happened to this young girl, and her testimony synchronizes with what everyone else was saying. So apparently somebody was out there in the Peruvian Amazon with advanced technology, certainly advanced hoverboard technology, but not just that, advanced aerospace vehicles that could hover silently in the air, and was terrorizing this village for some unknown reason. Definitely not miners with jetpacks. Now, there was another incident that I mentioned earlier. This was happening, by the way, in various villages. This was not the only village.
Yeah, has this been happening anywhere else?
This was happening in various villages in Alto Nanay, in that region of Peru, and in other regions of the Peruvian Amazon. Reports of the face peelers were surfacing everywhere. So let me address the face peeler thing real quick. So pelacata, face peeler, this is a legend that goes back decades in Peru. When I lived I lived there for 10 years in the Peruvian Amazon. When I lived there, I heard of the legend of the face peelers, and this was sort of like a face peeler was sort of like a boogeyman, and the mothers would tell their children, "Don't go out alone at night because the face peeler will get you." And the villagers, the indigenous people, there was no consensus on who the face peelers were. Some of them thought the face peelers were extraterrestrials, aliens. They can't be human precisely because of this technology that's being deployed, right? Others believed that the face peelers were gringos who were there to harvest organs and for whatever reason to harvest faces. This phenomenon, this legend goes back to the mid to early 80s, but not further back than that. It began in the 80s. And I know that for a fact because I talked to the guys in the village and they specifically told me that their fathers told them about the face peeler phenomenon, but it was not happening in the time of their grandfathers. So it was happening in the 80s. That's when it began. So this was not the first encounter with a phenomenon similar to what these people were experiencing. And that's why they started calling it the pelacata, that these are pelacatas, because for them, this was somewhat familiar. There had been in the past and during this particular episode in the Peruvian Amazon, individuals who were discovered with their face removed or with half of their face removed. I published a YouTube video in which this video got age restricted precisely because of this footage that was in the video of a young man that was being carried out of the river by some police officers, and it's apparent that his face, 3/4 of his face, had been surgically removed. This was not the result of piranhas chewing on his face. Piranhas leave nicks. I mean, they can clean the bone really well, but
It's precision cuts.
these are precision. This is laser cuts around the guy's face.
All right, I think we're good there. But this is the reason I wanted to give context for this. Well, I had to give context in that video because of not only the time frame but of what happened, and I recognized this when this question came in. So I'll tell you the various answers. This is probably the longest of the questions here on this. So I said, this is what I got. These are made up. Okay, was from Isaac. Okay, these are made up of both militaristic assholes and some aliens. They harvest both organs and even faces. They are like the organ harvesters on Star Trek Voyager, the Vidians. In one episode, they even show one of them stealing a Starfleet officer's face. Chris thinks they were just poking fun at Velodian soul doctors, but they were, in fact, also depicting these creatures, evil to the core. Enough said. Isaac? And the next part of the question was, that's horrible. I can imagine what they are doing, profiting off of the organs with faces. And this is where the rest of the answer came in. I feel the faces are for sale on a black market somewhere, and that's what I said. Yes, and this is now Isaac. Yes, they hunt, they abduct, they poach, they profit, and they leave people disfigured for life. Hence, they are known by the name the face peelers, legendary, and disgusting pains in the ass. Sick, if you ask me, and so you did. Bye now, Isaac. Next one that came in a little bit later. The faces, surprisingly enough, go for a lot. Skinning people is big business out there in both the slave trade markets as well as the DNA trade markets. Chris here once saw a ship full of hides, Sasquatches, humans, and Lyrans, and wondered what it was. Well, here they are. Yuck, ack, Isaac. And one more portion to this. Also, the attacks began in the 80s because that is when the group was founded. Some of them are responsible for spreading that email in the 90s about the person waking up in the ice bath with their kidneys missing. Isaac. So, yes, I remember this quite clearly. But the reference he was making to the dream reference is where I was wandering around this, what I thought was an alien ship with a giant set of conveyor belts going around with hides on it. Going into a storeroom, seeing hides, a human, Sasquatch, and Lyran. And that's essentially what this was. And the Voyager episode that he was making a reference to, season 1, episode 13, called Faces. Lieutenant Torres is divided into two beings when a Vidian scientist kidnaps her, and Lieutenant Paris for use in his experiments to cure the phage, which was their virus or plague in that show. But I thought they were poking at the good guys, the soul doctors, the Velodian soul doctors, basically giving them the finger. Nope, wasn't that. Just that. It was this. And that's the Vidian character takes a face off of one of the Starfleet officers and wears it. At first, I thought it was also another reference was Face Eater, but no, this. So let's see. All right, one more thing from Isaac, and we go on to the next question here. Sorry for the length of this one, folks, but this one was detailed. So it was a classified file and/or set thereof of the group that led to the idea of the Vidians being created. Isaac. He was just explaining the context of that. Season 1, episode 13, Voyager. So, next one.
Although Range 4 Harry is cool, iconic name steeped in mystique, maybe he has something else he'd prefer.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay. Though I would not wish to change my, would not wish to change my pseudonym, this question does intrigue me. Nonetheless, Harry and/or Range 4 Harry is what I currently prefer. I will go into more detail here sometime very soon about my life. But until then, bye for now, Range 4 Harry. Of course, he's very short-winded, and the other thing was long. Okay, next one.
If Broston has any suggestions for my search for inner peace, I welcome them. Are there dark military forces in the Montague Lycian Canyon area I need to avoid? Do the Sasquatch communicate with my father, Joseph Alfred? He feels as though spirits communicate with him, especially in the shower.
Okay, here we are. Let's see. Broston here. Inner peace is a path, not a band-aid rip, as you would say. There are dark military forces present in the Montague Lycian Canyon. They abduct people regularly. Unfortunately, they do, but we are also present. They sometimes take our forms to abduct people into their bases and also many other places. Yes, we do communicate with Joseph Alfred hold on. In the is where. Okay.
And this is where.
And this is where he does his best work for us. Sorry, I couldn't see that well enough. Aha. He finds the Anhalam there mostly. You will as well. That is all for now. Blessings and always, and as always, Anhalam always. Broston. So yeah, this what he said. Also, I saw in a dream. Very briefly, I will say I was in the Grand Canyon, and in this dream sequence, seeing these people that I thought were ghillie suits swimming up onto this dock after coming in from a kayak trip. And seeing these hairy people abduct me, and those were military disguised as forest people. Saw another one where two women had actually passed away. Another guy had passed away in the previous one. They were in a bathroom building in a national park and saw a big hairy red-eyed creature coming for them and abducting them. That was military doing a stagecraft, blaming the forest people. And also years ago, David Paulides might actually contest this, but I don't care. Me and Joanna saw years ago, we saw a video of the missing 411 where he was talking about how he felt the forest people were responsible for some of the missing people out there. And we saw that years ago, and he said it was in one of his books. You can't find this now. You cannot find this now. It's become completely redacted from book and video, online, offline. So if anybody has a source where Paulides mentions this and is missing 411, please forward this on to us. But haven't been able to find it in years. I even mentioned that on a conspiracy sector a while back too. So okay, let's see. Here it is, the next one.
I very much would like to get an anti-EMF hat like the one you wear, Christopher. Do you suggest a brand or sell them yourselves? I know it is based on Faraday cage, and funnily, the first Faraday cages I ever saw was at the Boston Science Museum.
Okay, let's see. I just said we get ours from lessemf.com. I wish we did make and sell them. That would be great. I'd be putting our emblems on them like the one back here. I'd be putting the eyes, all that other stuff on it. You would be seeing those from us if we could make these woven silver cloth, all of this, like what you see in these this hat right here. I would most definitely be making those and selling those. So, but here is okay. Yep, that was the answer to that one. So next one.
Boston, this area is very beautiful and Mount Shasta looks spectacular. I am an avid snowboarder. I know the military and dark horses take people off the mountain all the time. Is it dangerous for me to explore the snowfields up there?
Okay. I would say sometimes, personally, I'm saying sometimes, but I would go into Broston's answer first. Broston here, only if you venture too far in an area where it does not feel right to you. If your intuition tells you no, then it is no. If it feels hollow, then it is also a no. But any other time, it is an over resounding yes. Broston. Now, we've been past Mount Shasta before, and underneath is military and dark elf Lemurian descent lineage down there. Those are the aliens that are down there. The military will put on a light show for people around Mount Shasta, and also there's UFOs and such. It's a major hotspot they're abusing. Absolutely. It's a big major portal and or vortex and or energy line intersection, ley line intersection there. Big one, big massive activity site. Military is surrounding a portal there. Aliens have been there for centuries, from the times of Lemuria, roughly 15,000 years now. So this that is actually a site that people do go missing on, and the military do put on shows there, but is real activity there. You're getting a mixed bag. There's some Sasquatch, but there's also Yetis sighted there, which are not Sasquatch. I want to say they're a reptilian form. In the I believe the Himalayas, someone a native saw a person, what he thought was a person around a fire, and he got real close, turned around, it was a reptilian form with white hair or white fur. And a man killed this creature, brought it in, they shaved it, and it was a lizard. So that was a story that came from around in the 1990s, by the way. But I can also attach this Q&A, our trip to Shasta. I don't have it on the YouTube any longer. I can always attach it to this Q&A for more details. So, but also the descent lineage of Lemuria, that was the Syrian and or Dark Elf lineage that basically conquered parts of Lemuria in the last final days. they are what's depicted as the Moai on Easter Island, because the natives threw them out of Mu Lemuria. They went to both to the Marquesas, then over to Easter Island, and that's where you get the bird cult and you get the Moai from. So if people want to see more in that galactic history, let us know. So next.
I was in a rage a few weeks ago and my iPhone disappeared from a tree I was certain I left it in. I triangulated it for 4 days with my Bluetooth headset, and I'm pretty certain it is down in a woodland creature's home that I don't have the will to destroy their house to go and find it. Did the forest people or young Sasquatch have something to do with the phone being moved, like forcing me to take a break from watching politics and bad news? I'm pretty certain it is in a squirrel's house, although I have never, ever seen a squirrel up here.
Okay, so this was actually an interesting answer. This was indeed a young Squatch. Matthew is the guy's name. Matthew. Hope you don't mind your name being read. And for not so noble a reason as you just suggested, he took it because he wanted to, like some children do. Go ahead and take it back if you want, but you are still correct in the news and politics. It's bad for you. The squirrel's house won't get rattled much. And I'm always, Matthew, Broston. So yeah, basically I'm saying it was a young Squatch, and we did have a young Squatch around in Arizona. I used a skull Oedipus there that I had for the forest people while we were there. And all of a sudden I'm seeing this little young Squatch looking at me through the skull. And this was one that we ran into by the name of Timo many years ago, and he was an infant with his mother, Masi. And I said, "This is Timo, isn't it?" And I see the Squatch eyes light up, and he runs away. He was transparent. Actually, I want to say that. I want to make that clear. But this was the same when he was a toddler. By the time I saw him again, it was several years later, multiple years later. So yeah, so young Squatches will move things just like gnomes and leprechauns and other like Grimpon, other Sylph and other elementals do. They'll mess with people, leave them money, all this other stuff. You heard that story what we told about Globe that time, them leaving money because we helped out some the natives and some elementals there for a land grab event the ICC was trying there. So this they gave us money in return. This happens. Sasquatches will do it too. One example I will give of this, and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen them do. This one woman I read one time said some balloons appeared in her yard, a big batch of them, like you'd see at a fair. Ended up in her yard, and with some, I believe, a feather and some hair attached to it, like a Sasquatch hair, and found out the Sasquatch had left it for her. And I remember asking them in this session, I said, "Did this means you stole it from someone else?" And one of them just went, "Your point." So I find this hilarious because some of them will just grab from somewhere and just give it to you. Like I said, with the money we found on the ground in Globe, I told asked the elementals there, I said, "You took this from somebody, didn't you?" And they went, "The same answer, and your point." So they take from somebody they don't really give a crap about, and they'll give it to you. That's really that. And we got sent some money one time in exchange for something, and it was the forest people doing it too. So I won't go into that story, but just know they do this. So it's hilarious. Next one.
In closing, anything I can do to be a good steward of this beautiful forest environment and help the forest people, I will try my best. I have only been here about 2 months and find it fascinating, and a bunch of strange circumstances and failures throughout the country constantly seems to have moved me to the Mount Shasta area, as if I have Lemurian DNA or Sasquatch connections. Can humans be Sasquatch on a weird journey where they don't remember being a Sasquatch?
I have to say absolutely yes to this myself. So yes, absolutely correct on that one. When you're that drawn to it, yes, you have been one of them. And some of them are forest nymphs and myrrh and all of them too, if you're attracted to nature and water and all that as well. But I will go and answer this. So to answer the second question, yes, you are indeed one of us from that period, as well as have some of our DNA. A human can most certainly be a Sasquatch on a weird journey where they don't remember being a Sasquatch. Yes, indeed. You are already a steward of the forest and her environment. Never forget this, Matthew. Never forget this, Broston. So, all right. Okay.
Next question is, what is the real message behind this video? Michael sent me this, questions for tomorrow.
Okay, I will bring this up briefly. I will try. Okay. Yeah, this will definitely have to be a brief one. I'm not going to play this entire thing. It's an hour long. So I'm only going to play the first couple minutes here. All right. Share screen. Okay.
My brother, legendary king of pop, Michael Jackson, passed away on Thursday.
Michael Jackson died June 25th, 2009 from a drug overdose.
The district attorney has charged Dr. Conrad Murray with involuntary manslaughter.
Guilty. Dr. Conrad Murray was held solely responsible for Michael's death.
The court imposes the high term of 40 years imprisonment in this case.
Now, the lead detective in the case says Dr. Murray was just the last doctor of many left holding the bag.
Okay. I'm not going to go any further into that. You can check that video out if you want. All right. All right. Here we go. This was Michael Jackson's response to this. On the surface, this may seem like an unusual. Oh, okay. Oops. I don't believe that was the correct one, guys. I am so sorry for that. Okay. So this, you go ahead and read this question, and we'll go back to the other one here. All right.
Both you and Jermaine didn't appear in this video because if you did, it would have become a bigger hit song.
Oh, no, wrong one again. I am so sorry, everybody. I don't know what happened to the question that went along with that video that I just showed you. Oh, crap. Okay. Okay. All right. Wake up video. Okay.
Well,
But, oh, okay. All right. Hang on.
it's okay, right?
Yeah, I do believe that. Yeah, this answer was for this, let's see, where was this? I just saw this. I am so sorry, everybody. All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that got messed up. I'm not sure what happened to the other video. It was about Michael Jackson's torture video. Not an actual torture video, but it was the song called Torture. And you go ahead and read that again.
Both you and Jermaine didn't appear in this video because if you did, it would have become a bigger hit song. Many occult symbols within this video as well. Was this an initiation of some kind for you and your brothers? Your thoughts on this, please.
Okay. Yes, on both accounts, Christine, a friend of ours that sent the question in, as well as depictions of initiations. Jermaine and I would have definitely made it more popular. Let's see here. Oh yeah, in the video, let's see. Okay. Yeah, they also showed like werewolf masks and things of that nature. We'll go back to that other question. Let me check this real fast here. Okay. And okay, and I will actually read this answer that was associated with that other video. On the surface, this may seem like an unusual heartbreak video, but in the end, was a direct message about the true emotional as well as physical torture that I underwent. It is wrapped in a breakup breakup in love song package, but it is anything but. It was one of my ways of getting the message out about the torture. That is it for this question, Chris and Christine. So the other one, the other video that you saw was actually more timing as to validation about his murder. I'm so sorry I screwed that up. I brain farted there for a minute. So I will move on to this next one right here.
I guess, again, asking Michael Jackson, at what age were you diagnosed? It came to my attention recently that lupus is a result of a werewolf lineage curse. You did wear a wolf mask in your Thriller video. Any truth to this in your case?
Okay. Yes, this was the werewolf one. Yeah, I went and looked at the Thriller video after this. You can look this up as well. I was diagnosed as a teenager, roughly 14 years old. Though you are right about lupus being the result of a werewolf lineage curse, not all people transform into one. Some just get the pain and anguish from it, essentially a disease. Lupus then is more of a mutation of a werewolf lineage curse, keeping with it none of the cool shit. Ha. So yes, the wolf mask was both playful as well as informative. All right. Now we're back on track here, folks. All right, next.
Also, director and narcissist John Landis claimed you were emotionally damaged. Why would he say that?
Okay, because he was, is, and always will be a malignant narcissist. Enough said. Michael Jackson, he didn't hold back on these folks. Okay, next one.
Ray and John Landis claimed unpaid royalties for the Thrill of It video. Do you hold back on payments? Also, I might add that werewolf bones are very powerful when used in black magic rituals. Did you mention they still use your bones till this day? You did mention they still use your bones till this day. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they use his bones in satanic rituals. I came to find out. I can't substantiate that, but that's something that I was told. So within sessions. So if anybody can substantiate that claim somewhere, let me know. All right. Yes, I did hold back payments. The guy was and still is an asshole, malignant narcissist. Did I say asshole before? Well, I do now. Ha. Werewolf bones are very powerful in rituals, and this is why they still use them in their sick and disgusting rituals. Even now, they are still used as not only a holy relic, but as a sexual holy relic in sexual satanic cult circles. Enough said on this subject. I do not want blowback raining down upon you both, Michael Jackson. So, all right. Okay, I knew this was going to be a long one. Okay. And these are what I did was he had me take some stuff about key things off of the AI overview and on Google, and then he answered them like he did in one of the other Q&As. He just added some comments in there. Let me see here. Okay. All right. This is all I'll just go ahead and read this. There's a lot here. John Landis, the director of An American Werewolf in London, ironically, and the Blues Brothers, directed Michael Jackson's iconic music videos for Thriller and Black or White. And I did get a synchronicity about Black or White when we were out on the radio. Black or White actually played a couple of times on the radio after I did this Q&A, by the way. Thriller didn't, but Black or White did. When you get it a few times, then you know it's a synchronicity. Landis also had a working relationship with Michael Jackson, and they collaborated on Thriller. However, their relationship was not without conflict, as Landis later expressed his dislike for Jackson's appearance due to cosmetic surgery and filed a lawsuit over unpaid royalties from the Thriller video. And here comes Michael Jackson's answer. Irrelevant, truly irrelevant. Such a dick, a judgmental dick. And he was angry about that. And, okay, key points about the collaboration. Thriller music video. Landis co-wrote and directed the Thriller music video, a landmark achievement in music video production. Still one, and then this is Michael Jackson now. Still one of my crowning achievements. Mostly thrilling, if you ask me. And then he was like, hee hee. A little joke there from him. Black or White music video. Landis also directed the Black or White music video, which starred Macaulay Culkin and featured scenes with a diverse group of people. And now here's his answer, or comment. If Macaulay ever sees and or reads this, know that I am truly sorry for what occurred at Neverland Ranch. And he was extremely sad about this. It was not the real me, and he was angry about that, actually. Next part to this, I asked him, why then did Macaulay Culkin say in court that you were innocent of any wrongdoings if you are apologizing to him now? I was curious about that. And he said, simple, Chris. He saw the tunnels and saw the weird rooms, but he never truly saw that part of the mind control except once. More of a creepy temperamental moment while on meds. He, like you, recognized the control versus the real person. But I still am sorry for it all, nonetheless. And he was sad about that. So, all right, lawsuit. In 2009, Landis filed a lawsuit against against Jackson, claiming he hadn't received profits from the Thriller video, including licensing rights. And here's Michael Jackson's answer. Exactly. He is right. And he was laughing about that. It was due to the fact that, can you guess it, Chris, that he was and still is an asshole, malignant narcissist. And something tells me he hated Landis. I'm not quite sure where I get that from, but it seems that he hated him very much, actually. A dispute over appearance. Okay, Landis later stated that he was appalled by Jackson's disfigurement due to cosmetic surgery and would not work with him again. And he just gave him the middle finger at that. Michael Jackson gave him the middle finger at that point. He just said middle finger emoji. That's really all he told me to put on there. Settlement. The lawsuit was settled in 2012 for an undisclosed amount. And here's the response. In the end, a resolution was come to. Sometimes even an asshole malignant narcissist gets paid. Or as Joanna sometimes says to you, Chris, is this the hill you wish to die upon? Well, is it? He. And yes, she says that a lot. So, and he was right. But I thought that was hilarious. I know this goes on a while, but I said this show was going to be long, did I not? All right, next part.
It says Macaulay Culkin and Michael Jackson had a close friendship that began in the early 1990s when Culkin was a child star following the success of Home Alone. Jackson reportedly reached out to Culkin, seeing a shared experience in their early rise to fame. Culkin stated that Jackson understood what he was going through and wanted to ensure he wasn't alone in the experience.
Okay, this was his response. Yes, he was and still is a joy to be around. I watch over him often. Okay, I know this is more of those. This only goes on for oh shit. All right, it does go on for a minute, but I'll be as quick as I can. The friendship was subject to public scrutiny and controversy, especially due to Jackson's later allegations of sexual abuse against boys. Culkin frequently visited Jackson's Neverland Ranch and spent time with him, even sharing a bedroom. And then Jackson said, read above, I still felt like a kid at times because I was robbed of being one. And he was sad about that. By my parents, especially by my father. And he's really pissed at his father, actually. So even though, you would think in spirit world, some people think, oh, you're not really experiencing that level of emotion, but the soul remembers. He just wanted to emphasize the soul remembers these things. And he's tapping into this to be able to say it in this way. So, key aspects of their relationship. Shared childhood experiences. Both Culkin and Jackson experienced the unique pressures of child stardom, which Culkin felt helped them connect. And he just put a smiley emoji for that one. And that was actually a positive emotion that involved in this. Neverland Ranch visits. Culkin was a frequent guest at Neverland, where he enjoyed the amenities and spent time with Jackson. Again, smiley face, loved spending time with him, he said. Defense of Jackson. Throughout and after Jackson's legal troubles, Culkin consistently defended their friendship and denied witnessing any inappropriate behavior. He testified in Jackson's defense during the 2005 trial, stating that he never saw Jackson do anything improper with anybody. And he said, wonderful boy, still is. He wanted to keep making comments like this. He actually kind of liked that format. So looking something up and adding to it, adding to the historical record, pretty much. The godfather to Jackson's children. Culkin is the godfather to Michael Jackson's children, Paris, Prince, and Blanket. He remains close to Paris Jackson, and then this is the response. He didn't and still doesn't know of the castration. And he was really sad about that. He was and still is wonderful to the kids, nonetheless. And he's very happy because he watches over them, nonetheless. Okay, it's coming up on the end of this, looks like. Culkin's statements on the relationship. In various interviews, Culkin has addressed the public's perception of their relationship. He emphasized that their friendship felt normal to him, despite Jackson's worldwide fame. He reiterated that Jackson never did anything to him, and he never saw Jackson do anything inappropriate. He explained that the media often exaggerated the nature of their relationship and spoke without knowing the full context. And Jackson said, "Yes, this is true, 100%." And he was smiling about that. That he said that was actually historically accurate. And so, controversy and allegations. I'm almost done. The controversy and allegations. Well, Culkin has consistently defended Jackson. The allegations surrounding Jackson's relationships with children and the Leaving Neverland documentary continue to be debated. Some people have raised questions about Culkin's relationship with Jackson, particularly regarding their age difference and the practice of sleeping in the same bed. However, Culkin's testimony in the 2005 trial, where he denied any inappropriate behavior, was seen as significant for the defense. And this is Michael's response. Like I said, Chris, I felt more like a kid at heart because I never truly was one. And that made him very sad to recount. So, okay. And there's I guess the last question for Michael.
Do you have any final words for us, Michael?
Okay. Thank you both. Joanna, too, for all of your hard work in this effort. Blowing kiss emojis. I love you guys very, very much. I can now get more of the information out this way, both in book form as well as through the internet. So bye for now, Michael Jackson. So, all right, this is the next question.
Says, I remember Orlag saying that his earthly birthday was on June 10th. So I made him this poster.
And there is, let's see.
And it's a happy birthday poster.
It's a happy birthday poster he made for Orlog, which was actually pretty cool. He says, I hope he loves it. I'd love to know what he thinks of it. So I will go down here to the response. This is Orlog. I love it. Keep this level of communications up with us. We love the banter and, of course, love the love sent, meaning love sent to us. No, Isaac, it is not scent as in smell. Thank you. All right. I knew that.
It's not a scratch and sniff.
It's not scratch and sniff. Love the scent in the meaning, the love scent, not. So, yeah. Isaac found that hilarious. But, okay. Of course, he'd say that. Okay. Love the skills. Orlog. Okay. And, okay, let's see. Okay. Okay, here's the next one. Oh, wait, never mind. Here is the next one right here.
Oh, it just says, Orlando, I hope you enjoy your day. Talk to you later.
And he says, you too, to the person that wrote this, unless he wants his name out there. So basically, there was a banter that went back and forth. They love that kind of banter like it's a regular conversation. They like this a lot. So talk to them as if they're a family member. Not, yes, I know, Isaac, not a feuding family. Yes, or like the Hatfields and McCoys. Yes, thank you. I don't know where that came from, but okay. Let's see. Next one.
Are the forest people with their hypersensitivity being hit from and or by the mouth?
Okay. If you saw our episode on the mouth, you'll know exactly what we mean. Okay. Roston here, Chris, and yes, we unfortunately are. This hits us sometimes worse than it hits you humans, unless we go interdimensional for a while. Be seeing you, Chris. Meaning they get out of the frequency by which it is not possible for them to get hit with. Even though other beings can use technology to be in other dimensions, we've said this before, and harass other beings in other dimensions and us from there, this is not one of those things. The mouth can't do that. No, just specifying. Lonulosians have even said that the mouth can't get there. They know it exists. They transport here, or they bilocate here. They hear it, but when they're there, they don't. So I just wanted to specify there are some frequencies that are devoid of the mouth, and there's that particular one. Lonulos is one of them, and some places these forest people go are another. So next one.
It says, Will Rogers, ask for a famous person that you might communicate with, and I'd like to know if Will's sudden death was murdered or what, and anything else that the fabulous comedian from Oklahoma would like to tell us.
Okay, I actually know who this was, so I had to look this up. And yeah, he died in Alaska, I believe. Actually, I'm going to bring this up real quick. I know I had the Will Rogers thing up before. I know there's the link. All right, here we go. Born November 4th, 1879, died August 15th, 1935 in Point Barrow, Arkansas, and he was born in Oglala, Oklahoma. And I know I believe, it's called Will Rogers' death, aviation accident. This was an airplane crash. So Will Rogers and Wiley Post bid farewell to a small crowd gathered at Fairbanks, Alaska on August 15th, 1935. They would perish in an airplane crash later that day. And the reason I bring it up is because this is what's tied into the answer here. So, when he should ask this, it was the effects of what you call the Alaska Triangle that caused most of my plane crash, as well as your military involved with said triangle. Did you know people have gone missing since before the time that it all officially started? I was one of those victims that saw too much. Bases and military were there in Alaska at least 10 years before they officially came out with it. Now that's not funny, but it is so true. They came out of the closet, so to speak, in all ways possible in 1940, but it was 1930-ish, give or take a few months, when they truly came out. This is all I know. Wink, wink, nod, nod. That's all, folks. American vaudeville performer, actor, and humorous social commentator Will Rogers. And he didn't stick around long. He didn't really particularly care for this type of contact. The different strokes, different folks. Like George Foreman didn't really care for this when he came around, and same thing with Gene Hackman. It really wasn't their gig or their wheelhouse. So, and you would think, people think Spirit, maybe they're the same in that respect. Not at all. Different levels, different perceptions, different tastes, So, and likes, dislikes. So we can move on.
It says galactic history is all revealed in the book Owaspy, channeled and now online. Read it from the beginning. Adult Earth started over 3 billion years ago, but the book covers in details the last 72,000 years.
Okay. There are some accuracies in this book, some conjecture, and some hyperbole. But there is also some there is also some biases within its pages too. Like when a Pleiadian told a person not to eat meat, when in fact they stated very clearly to the person, we don't need to hunt for meat because we have food replicators. That person took it as a set of instructions as to not eat meat. Done, Isaac. Why he focused on that particular bit of information, I don't know. Lonulus is even mentioned in the Owaspy book series, as far as I know. But yeah, the adult Earth, yeah, okay. What they mean by that is when it was actually formed and or seeded. So that actually is 65 million is when they started doing that particular seeding. But they're the one we know of with us. But they had subsequent ones before it, like the dinosaurs. So that sounds roughly correct to when the planetoid itself was formed. Yeah. So that sounds pretty good. Okay, next.
Who built Denrikuyu? Denrikuyu.
That's that underground, the stone complex underneath Mount Ararat. The whole Noah's Ark story came out of there. So it was a mix of people that were both escaping Neanderthal invasions 50,000 years ago to ant people helping people during what is usually referred to as the Great Flood and or the Younger Dryas period. Noah's Ark was really on land, but you knew this and felt that there was more to add, but there isn't. Done, Isaac, meaning he was saying that to me. Okay. And also, I had a dream where I was in Göbekli Tepe, a dream vision where I was in Göbekli Tepe, and that's not far from Derinkuyu, by the way. It's that site in Turkey that was found with all the stone like letter T like formations, and those spirals. And had a dream where I was a giant that was escaping the Great Flood, that I was underneath the grounds of Göbekli Tepe and also Derinkuyu, where I was under both. There was an area underneath both connecting them. I don't think the connection thing has been found yet. But I also had a vision there was this being that came to me, and maybe someday he'll come on one of the shows. He called himself David, as if he was truly benevolent, by the way, with no conflicting agendas. But he came to me and said he came from the star system Cygnus. He said his people were destroyed. He came to Earth, and his people got intermixed into our DNA, and they went to the great city of stone, which what we call Göbekli Tepe. This was like a high functioning epicenter back in extreme antiquity, around the time of the Younger Dryas took place. So that if you want to hear more on a lot of that kind of stuff, we can go with that GIC at some point. Okay.
Someone placed an onion and a green chili. They did burn a candle too on our front door. I don't know what that means.
Okay, this I found weird, and I know some those in the hoodoo, voodoo, Haitian religions actually do this. Let me bring this up real fast here. Well, I know this was an article, and I'm not going to read the article. I'm just going to. Oh, there is. Okay, all it was a. All it was a little AI algorithmic thing here. It says somebody was asking a question to the AI algorithm here, or ChatGPT. Customer, some placed an onion and a green chili. They did burn a candle too on a front door. Hang on. I don't know what this means, what to do. The expert assistant said, have you noticed any unusual or negative events happening in your life recently? The customer went, we haven't entered the home since this was done, but I have been getting hurt a lot lately. Are there any specific cultural or religious beliefs that you follow that may be related to this situation? Person said, no. Is there anything else you think the expert should know in this situation? Okay. No, that's done with that part. But what this is basically, some of these are like this. This is up there with that elbow bumping crap, the karma dumping, destiny swapping thing I said in the Poltercast 3 that I did with Phantom Gigabyte that time, where they were talking about the elbow bumping and that goes up there with karma dumping, where you swap out someone's good fortune or someone's good fortune is swapped out for someone else. Some of these Haitian religions do that. They do this in New Orleans, especially, where they approach you like this. Do not bump elbows with anybody. It comes on real slow in millimeters and centimeters, and they gradually vampire this off of you. The knowing about it helps. This is why I'm informing this way. But this particular one, the onion peel thing, is on a similar thread. So, and since Phantom Gigabyte's Ghost Bites channel got canceled, I will eventually. He gave me permission to upload the original show. I have another recording of it, so you have context for what I just said. So more on this that Range 4 Harry said on this. This is a land curse designed to uproot the current energies and supplant a pre-designed template in place. Or in its place, more like I said. Okay. Think of it as a program designed with certain codes or even a computer virus of sorts. The programmer then can change reality for one person or several, depending on how strong she wants it. In the in similar to. Okay.
It is similar to.
Oh, it is similar to the elbow bumping, destiny swapping, karma dumping. Sorry, I couldn't see that right. Whereas energy and/or paths are stolen, redirected. Sleazy, if you ask me. Range 4 Harry. It's one of the sleaziest tricks known in the magical world. Karma dumping, destiny swapping. Don't go for this. And when you're in New Orleans, don't shake hands with anything. Don't do fist bumping. None of this. None of it. Just trust me on this. So, okay. Okay. Oh, there is a lot left. Okay. Okay, next.
I was wondering if Chris could do an update on a show that aired a while back. I have always kept this show in mind. Chris channeled a group that was way, way out there. This group was growing their ship, and it was discussed how important the dryads are. Dryads are dryads are important in parentheses for long distance communication. I think, and other attributes that ship has its own forest. I would love a whole show about this, or at least an update. This ship was coming out our way, I think. Where are they on their journey? Have they left yet? If some of the information is wrong, I apologize.
Oh, no. You were not wrong, the person that sent this. So this would be the Zune people of Andromeda. I will check here for an update from them and or others. Okay, now this was, who sent this update? Oh, this was Range 4 Harry that gave me this one. Okay. All right. This is actually pertaining to the biosphere ships of Andromeda. That's a famous set of channelings that's out there. I can't vouch for the whole thing. I just know it was based off of the same information. This subject has been partially skewed over the years, but the Zune, as they are referred to, do indeed have ships as described. With dryads traveling with them, they are one of the few species from the Great Seeding time frame that did not lose resources past the Great Burn, whereas the Black Goo took nearly every single solitary resource out there. The Zune, the Fjorgi, the ones you call the Leviathans, as well as a few others, such as the Ligarians and the Trogdoboogan, survived with their resources intact. The forests of these 3 to 5 ships are immense, enough to even hold each and every single forest person on Earth, as well as in deep space and here within the solar system, only if needed, that is. They are fine and send well wishes to everyone listening. They would also like everyone to know that they are not coming this way yet, but will when the Earth opens up more to ETs. Some are incarnated here so that they can help not only have a stake in what happens here on the Earth, but to facilitate their arrival when that actually is to be. No time frames set, just watching, just like the Taigetans do. That is all I will that I personally know on this subject. They could not speak, so I came in. Range 4 Harry. That's the species I did when we had our Patreon. I had something about the Zune. I was just reviewing some of the video today I found in our own archive about the Zune. And they have, these are the beings that have the forests as their bridge of their ships in these flying biospheres. The forests are the helm of the ship where they touch these symbols on the ship and they can drive the ship. It's just these big, almost like a UFO shape, but it's more of a biosphere with a dome where they can see out into space and all this other, and they can put a fake sky over. They showed something similar to this into the show Orville years ago with a dome, a biodome type of ship. If you guys want to look that up, where they open the doors up and the captain told to open the doors up and you saw the space. So that's exactly what they how that's depicted. And also in Doctor Who, you got to see where the origin of the Cybermen, where people were transhumanizing themselves to live in deep space. They had their own forests and farms on board a ship. That last Peter Capaldi episode, if you guys want to look that up. So same identical thing. So we will move on.
Aliens, are all of the members of Congress, are all the members of Congress 100% human? If not, about how many and what percentage? Perhaps you cannot name names, but maybe give the state, party affiliation, or initials. Same question for our U.S. government and the present governments on Earth.
Okay, this was actually a short answer. Isaac here. Some are, some aren't. But as for percentage of government, meaning U.S., about roughly 1/3 of the Congress and the state combined,
In the Senate.
and the Senate combined, excuse me, are ET/branch/bracket treaty related, meaning some human, some not, some helping ETs, some blissfully unaware. Next question. So here's the next one.
Regarding the solar system, Isaac, back in the GIC Revolution radio days, gave a brilliant discussion of our solar system, explaining that we have 29 planets and 2 suns. Furthermore, several of these other planets have civilizations, with 2 being more advanced than here on Earth and a few lesser than here on Earth. What I would like Isaac to add is the exact number of planets that have civilizations, approximate locations, and approximate populations.
Okay. All right, here we are. And so we did. So here is a brief rundown. 29 planets, but they are all dimensional inlets to the introverse. Dimensional worlds within worlds, 2 suns, 1 brown dwarf, and 1 yellow sun. Some of these civilizations are more or even less advanced than Earth Midgard. Lanulos being one of them, not less advanced, more advanced. Populations vary, but with Lanulos, the population is approximately 2 billion. If you count all of the ET species, humans and their families here. The others can come in sometime soon and speak to their very own worlds and selves. Laugh out loud. Next question, Isaac. So, all right, next.
This is regarding the ICC. How firm of control does the ICC have on Earth? Where does the ICC operate from? If the location of the headquarters of the ICC is not here on Earth, exactly where is it in our solar system? How large is the organization and what percentage are 100% human?
Okay. Breakdown. The ICC, the Intergalactic Corporate Conglomerate. Sometimes it's Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, depending on who you talk to. There's two different names I want to say there. The HQ resides in the asteroid belt and on Ganymede, respectively, the moon of Jupiter. And ancient Draco base resides within Jupiter's eye, no different than in the movie Jupiter Ascending, which that was highly accurate. They also put the Borg on Jupiter in Picard season 3, also accurate. So controlling people here through that via an eyeball, fairly accurate, but it was more Saturn. But I'll give them that. Most corporations bow to them because they are them relabeled. The only exceptions are small businesses. All communications companies, for example, are owned by Viacom, which makes it so no communication companies even exist at all. Shill companies all. And Viacom, you guessed it, is the ICC. In short, small businesses no, and large corporations yes. Next question. For further details on this type of situation, for further details, just go to gic.show. That's for the other things on the aliens and such. Go there. So next.
It says HHO. Should it be H2O device? Is this a word?
It's HHO.
HHO. Okay, HHO device. Would a device that produces enough hydrogen when added to a combustion engine significantly lower harmful emissions and improve fuel economy for the 1.4 billion combustion engines on Earth? Will it ever be allowed to succeed? What exactly would need to be done to help it succeed?
Yeah, an HHO, that's hydrogen, two hydrogen molecules, one oxygen. It's the other direction from H2O. So this only succeeds when enough people out there say that they have had enough from the tyrannical corporations. People have been complacent in this, but this is not long for this world. See your product as not being affected by the bad guys' greed. Instead, see it as being co-created properly. Become the path. See it as already occurring. It is a foregone conclusion. Next, please. Range for Harry. So, all right, next one.
Medbed. Would a device that produces significant healing when using it by lying down or standing for about an hour, significantly benefiting several serious medical conditions, will it be allowed to succeed? What exactly would need to be done to help it succeed?
All right. And for the previous question, always see things as a foregone conclusion, by the way. Avoiding all psyops regarding the supposed medbeds, of which has been the proverbial carrot and the stick for several decades now. Even mine. Meaning range for Harry's as well. Aside from that, yes, it will. But you must label it as fringe and or energetic to truly succeed. Avoid words such as heal, heals, healing, healings, medical, cure, cures, cured. Also, avoid disease terms such as cancer and terms such as virus, viruses, etc. You should be golden then. Weird? Yes. Dumb? Also yes. Retarded? Definitely yes. Currently necessary? Unfortunately, yes. That is all that I currently know. Range for Harry. He's been on fire with this. I see why the timing of that other video. I'm sorry, I must have copy and pasted in this document wrong. That's strange timing on the video. I don't remember. I want to say I do not remember putting this twice in there. I've been working my butt off on this script, and I usually don't throw things out of order like that. But that video you saw with the TMZ video earlier, this is the response to that, by the way. Klein was and still is evil. He fails paths and breaks souls. Murray may have directly murdered me, but the rest are just as guilty. As for timing, ow, Michael Jackson. So, yeah, obviously something screwed with that. I don't remember putting that all screwed up and out of order. So that's what threw me off, and that's what they wanted to happen, unfortunately. All right, we are getting into the Facebook questions here. So, okay.
I've been going through ChatGPT, inventing different realities. Is this my psionic ability picking up on other worlds and dimensions?
Okay, yes, I do believe so. Your thoughts and ideas stem from these places and your oversoul. And he said, what is the oversoul? I always hear the word, but I don't know the meaning. Is it the consciousness or mind? And I said, all right, the multidimensional, multiversal self that extends into spirit. It contains multiple expressions at once. Past lives are there, as well as our favorite creations. Your palace, castle, and/or library contains all that you have been, are, and will be. Also, at times, it can reflect a favorite expression. That's essentially like the Elder Scrolls in the Elder Scrolls series, all possible past, all possible presents and futures. The multiverse, Yerg's drill tree. Let's see. All right. And okay, you can read this part.
Like the Akashic record, correct? I think of the Akashic record as some sort of ET tech computer that stores it all.
Okay, let's see. Okay. Oh, and here's more of the question. Sorry.
And when you said the oversoul, I thought of some sort of ET tech computer that stores everything about me. And I thought of it as a computer shaped like me and ET features that allowed it to become ghost form. That's what came to my mind.
Yeah, that's almost like the ending to Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where they tried to say the Yggdrasil tree was the fake incarnation grid, where it saved the souls of the gods and incarnated them here on Earth to escape the Ragnarok kind of thing. But here's the other part to this. Yes, it is the Akashic, but you are not wrong either, since some ETs use stasis pods to incarnate sometimes from where and/or they are. You picked up on that. You basically picked up on that particular answer completely. And yes, they do use these stasis pods to incarnate here in a similar fashion that you would see in that version of the Yggdrasil tree in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I don't agree with the ending to that. I agree that it's the timeline or multiverse like you see in Loki, the series. Even though somebody I saw posted one time said that they felt that the way the gods are being depicted in Marvel was a mockery of the real ones, I'm inclined to agree. But at the same time, the thing with the Yggdrasil tree was correct. Nonetheless. Okay, let's see here. Okay, this is the question right there.
Where?
Where it says this music video.
Oh, go ahead and read it.
Okay, this music video is maybe ahead of its time. Wonder what they were trying to say. I viewed this moments before we read this because this question came in tonight. This is Arcade Fire Reflector official music video. You can look this up. I'm really not a fan, I must say, of this. It goes on a little while. I understand the symbolism of this still. Basically, if you watch it, it says, for one, I'm seeing on the back of the truck, the number 9 sets the stage for the entire music video, the military truck that's in it. Some people believe that the 9 group are affiliated with wisdom, inner retrospection, inner work, shadow work. The military vibe, revolution, more like a silent warrior / passive resistance sort of thing, but also fighting at the same time. The heads, the big heads that the guys are wearing, headstrong, critical thinking, etc. Meaning that being headstrong will get you out of these particular jams. Also, critical thinking is the seat of that wisdom, or the gateway to the soul, meaning the eyes, mind. That was talked about. We did that on GIC.show. I wish to say. Now, Isaac's response: "Hey, you are right. Now stop." That was his only. That was his only response into that. Now I will. This is a. Is this tall white of Biden a tall white, or is this tall version of Biden a tall white? This is in a video. I'm not going to play this. but I will show you where to find this. So give me a moment. This is too long, but I'll just play like one sentence from this or something. Right here. Here we are.
Didn't he post something the other day that Biden was assassinated and they used a clone?
Whoa.
God, I hope.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to do. You can see where that was. But that particular, we talked about this in previous Q&As where Joe Biden, the one everybody knows, died in Vegas, June of 2024. And they were saying that this was a replacement that took his place, a body double, essentially. Some people are saying clone. That's just kind of a retarded clone. So, okay, I can actually go along with this, but Isaac had a slightly different take. He goes, and he's answered this question before, but he just did a really short version. No, just a bad clone slash double. It's not a tall white. It basically retarded is what he wanted to say. So that was actually the last question in that gigantic list of them. So I will show one, I will read one thing. I'll get these videos out of the way here. There are actually 3 people that are going to speak this evening. I told you this was long, everybody. I told you this was long. One of them is Bruce Lee. And so Bruce Lee's last movie was Enter the Dragon, 1973. He died on July 20th, 1973 at the age of 32, before the film was officially released. Let's see. Enter the Dragon. However, only a few months after the completion of Enter the Dragon and 6 days before its July 26, 1973 release, Lee died. Enter the Dragon went on to become one of the year's highest grossing films and cemented Lee as a martial arts legend. I've seen Enter the Dragon. I saw it a long time ago, and it's his masterpiece. Versus some of this other stuff is good, but but that was his masterpiece. And Jason Lee did Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, which was pretty accurate too. So the other one would be his son, Brandon. Brandon Lee was accidentally shot and killed by his co-star Michael Massey on the set of The Crow. The gun was a prop, supposed to be loaded with blanks, but a bullet fragment remained in the barrel and was fired, striking Lee in the abdomen. You can go on to AI Overview on Google to look up more of that. And he compared it to the whole Alec Baldwin thing. And just brief, October 21st, 21, during a rehearsal for the film Rust, Alec Baldwin discharged a live round from a prop gun, resulting in the fatal injury of cinematographer Elena Hutchins and injuring director Joel Souza. You can look that up again, AI Overview. Because he compared his death to that, but slightly different. Same reasoning, though. And the third guest is Max Spears. So I will give a brief here. Max Spears, a British conspiracy theorist, died in Warsaw, Poland in July 2016 at the age of 39. His death was initially attributed to natural causes after he reportedly took a large dose of Turkish anxiety drug called Xanax, along with oxycodone. However, his mother's concerns and the lack of thorough investigation by Polish authorities led to further scrutiny, including inquest in the UK. Spears had previously expressed fears about his safety, even stating to his mother that he thought he might be murdered. The inquest heard that he had sent a message shortly before his death, urging his mother to investigate anything that happened. He told us that one was true. I can say that. So the circumstances surrounding his death were further complicated by the fact that he was staying with a woman, Monica Duval, whom he had met only weeks earlier. Duval reported that Spears had taken the anxiety medication and that then fell asleep, never to wake up. The toxicology report revealed potentially fatal levels of oxycodone and twice the therapeutic dose of the anxiety drug in his system. And I heard just in my head moments ago, bullcrap that was put in his system. So, The inquest also criticized the initial Polish police investigation, calling it wholly incompetent. The police had initially accepted the doctor's assessment of natural causes and did not conduct a further examination. The coroner, Christopher Sutton Maddox, emphasized the importance of a proper investigation, particularly given Spears' reputation as a conspiracy theorist. You see how they sidestepped the whole thing? This proves that was murder right there to me. Anyway, one more aspect. I'll read one sentence. Okay. All right. Okay. Spears died on 16 July 2016 in Warsaw, Poland, while visiting a friend. In a multi-part short documentary series on his death made by the BBC, his mother stated that she had been concerned about Spears' mental health prior to his death and that she believed he had gotten involved with the wrong crowd. A final video taken of Spears before his death revealed that his mother interpreted as signs of substance intoxication. She had seen him in a similar state in the past after using heroin. Another conspiracist who was close to Spears suggested his drug use was controlled by extraterrestrial life. Yes, so on that part. So I will actually go back to Bruce Lee here. Let me see here. All right. Three's all I can do tonight, guys. So, all right. Which one of you wants to go first? Spears, Max Spears, Bruce Lee, or Brandon? Bruce. All right. Now, I see all three of you. You know, you guys seem to be kind of in the same boat, but just in your own corners here. All right. Similar things, similar assholes kill them, things of that nature. True benevolent Bruce Lee as a no, and Dennis Beer. This is quite fascinating, doing things this way. I was always ghosted by my demons. It appears, Max being here with us today seems to have something similar. My son, very headstrong. He was on the right track with finding out what he found. He cared a lot for others. He cared a lot for those around. I also wanted to root things out, but I also wished to better myself and show others what this looked like. I wanted to show them the meaning of what it looked like to beat the odds, so to speak. I wanted to show people that you can take ancient wisdom and fuse them with now. Fuse them with the current moment. Always the moment, you see. Always right for now. Always right for this moment. Now, what I wanted to relay coming through is when you are going into these fields, like dear Max and my son. My son, yes, did a curse follow him? Yes. But at the same time, as he said, he stuck his nose in places probably he shouldn't have. You too, Max, possibly, yes. But in this, I must say, when you walk this path, you must understand unequivocally that life continues on. That the more you sometimes overprotect and overemphasize, you then create the very reality by which you are protecting yourself from and yourselves from. You then turn something into a foregone conclusion that may not have been before. You then take your reality and twist it in favor of that which you hate most, or in fear of most, to be more accurate. Hate is a derivative of fear, you see. I ran into, in my life, many challenges. I ran into, in my martial arts courses, teaching people these things. I created this wisdom. This is why in his mind, he was wondering who was putting the Karate Kid references in his head, like in the new movies and such. Getting him to look at his own demons. He found out the reason he had stuck in his mind. He's allowing me to say that. Had stuck in his mind elements of a movie he didn't really give a crap about. Meaning the mother wouldn't let the boy fight, then the boy actually had a lot of warrior anger within him. Meaning, because of his own father, his mother would not let him engage in warrior aspects, therefore penting the warrior and the thoughts and imbalancing them. This is something I taught people. The warrior must always have its day, must always have some form of outlet, outdoors, indoors, anywhere. You must find a place for it to live. Because she was so threatened by his father, by which then he was a warrior and misused aspects of this. Therefore, felt he would misuse, just like in the movie, the mother felt the boy would die like his brother if he engaged in the martial arts, when in fact he would end up like his brother if he did not. It's a discipline. This is why I was putting this personally in his head, and he doesn't understand why it was there to begin with. Because when you are distracted away from center, you don't always pay attention to what you call synchronicity is really connection to soul, spirit, overall nature. You say higher self, but all self grounded in the I am. When you get into off center, or when you get off center, certain things seem annoying, certain things seem not right. Life seems not right, because it is not because you are not grounded in into your own center in the moment. It is key now more than ever when you have technology out there that can take away your focus from your own chi to that of your otherworldly concerns. I know, ironic, because you were talking about dear Michael Jackson, and also the conspiratorial area of Max Spears, but in these worlds, you must understand walking the line. Yes, you could call it walking the line, but walking as you always, with your feet firmly planted upon the earth, always. You must do this while walking in that of a den of lions. You must then also understand lion's gaze, also other people's gaze, the curious seeker, the desperado, you would say, or those that are in need of assistance and those that are happy that you are around. There are focuses all over the place. Focuses from both good and bad, ugly, and he would say all in between. The focus that you must give yourself in this is you and how you react to that particular situation. Of course, there were things in my life that made me fiery angry. How did I respond to this? By rising above this and showing what the warrior looked like, but I also showed them what the wisdom of the soul looked like. In lieu of a warrior, he felt he was too old to learn some of these things. This is not true. I encountered a man once that was twice as old as I when I passed. He was able to find and write himself. Granted, he passed not too long after, but I'm just saying, him and I are both over in spirit. My point is, you will always find this. The soul always wants to find its way back to center. Your mind always wants to find its way back to center. It all naturally wants to ground. What is degrounding it? is what you pay attention to that causes the degrounding. Yes, there is outward oppression, but in the pursuit sometimes of that outward oppression, you give that outward oppression power over you. Doesn't mean you don't see that it doesn't exist, but it is a storm that you have to be not necessarily just leery of, but it's a storm you are aware of on the horizon. You see the thunder rolling, you see the lightning flashing, you see even the rains and the floods falling. But then what do? You are aware of it in the distance, rumbling in the distance, grumbling, even a fiery mountain in the distance. You see it? It is there. Yes, it is necessary for balance, but at the same time, does it affect you in your sunlit or starry lit sky? No, it does not. So, questions?
Well, basically, I appreciate you coming in and speaking of that. It's an interesting, I think, dynamic because there are so many ones that we know that are of that warrior, that have that warrior within them. But again, you can't take out a knife and chop people's heads off. That's not very wise to do. It's not that time.
No, but I did club a few of them.
Yeah, and if you accidentally hit them in a move or whatever, I'm sure you were pretty happy about that. But even though you'd say sorry, but
Oh yes, you say I am very sorry, but you are actually saying the proverbial woohoo inside. Yes.
exactly. So I am curious again, and I know you were just explaining it, but I think again, it's really hard for someone that is so physically wanting to be the warrior, thinking of the old days, wanting to chop people, end it by chopping your head off type of situation. And that's not the situation we're actually in right now. Things really can't be done that way.
But you can walk as a warrior. You can be a warrior, but both from the genetics and the past lives, this must have an outlet. This must have a place. It must have a place to live.
And again, when you say that, because you're like, you need to express that energy in something else, not literally going after people.
Unless that's the thing you are doing on another continent somewhere in some war zone, again, must have an outlet if that is your choice and lane, yes.
Right. And so, what types of things do you think would you recommend for people to try who needed that type of outlet?
He tries video games. This is not always apropos because of the fact that there's a virtual world. Forms of martial arts, like my Jeet Kune Do. I did this, I taught these things to people to express this and get the mind occupied and the warrior occupied. Therefore, you brought out your inner wisdom, you see. See, certain monks will rake dirt in order to keep the mind occupied and the meditative. Pros, yes, but you're also focused in the moment, always, in the martial arts, in the way the energy flows. As I've said, like with punching someone, you wait till the moment of impact for the final hit. Therefore, you are using less energy to take down your opponent. In this instance, you are using less energy to have the warrior have a place to live. People try too hard focusing it on in a particular area. You must allow it to live in a place. Physical activity, this is why some people turn that warrior to exercise. Others turn that warrior to boxing, martial arts. My own Jeet Kune Do people have my book that I literally painstakingly, blood, sweat, and tears gave to write it. And there are things, even walking through wilderness, even moving and doing landscaping, cultivating flowers, cultivating trees, cultivating food, fruit, plants, all of these things do occupy the warrior's time. Yes, do also watching combative things. Yes, I know that stirring up of violence, like some people are into fights and MMA and all this other stuff. Does that give a warrior a place to live, especially in men? Yes. This provides an outlet. You must be also in whatever it is you're passionately in. But also, sometimes The warrior has to live in a place that maybe you're not focusing in maybe your passion doesn't seem as much as a passion because you have a warrior that needs a place to live. It is homeless at the moment, you see.
Mhm. Well, I hope people can, take that in and think about what you're saying and hopefully be able to do something about it. I know Chris has a couple other people to talk today, so I'm just gonna, any last words of wisdom for this particular show?
Yes, he saw a program one time where a man had a past life as a Viking warrior and also as a pirate as well. Well, Vikings were also pirates, but in this, yeah, they would probably attest to this if you asked them. But with this, I will say, in the end, when that person went to a gym and started to box, even if there was no fight to engage in, the warrior had a home, and therefore his light was brighter. This is the key. Just remember, the warrior must have a home. You must give it a purpose. It must have a fight again. Just like a Klingon, they fight and die for Stovokor, or like your Nords and Elder Scrolls were a Sovngarde, or Valhalla for Vikings. The warrior must have a place. Some of your bad guys knew this and tried to give it a false place, but it can't be in a false place if you've already given it. You see, your warrior need a home. This is where I will end this. I thank you. My son Brandon will speak briefly, then Max. Yes, my father is very philosophical. I completely agree with his assessment. I do wish to say that I do apologize. I did not mean to name drop the whole Alec Baldwin thing. It required a similar thing. He even saw a similar situation. He even saw the whole South Park reference one time where you had your Britney Spears was being sacrificed for Hollywood and all this other stuff, and part of her head was missing in the cartoon. That meant the head was being controlled. Then they showed Miley Cyrus being the next one, and then now you know her behavior. There are these mental sacrifices along with physical ones, you see. People that are mentally slowly screwed up and manipulated over a period of time. This is what happened to Michael Jackson. He sends his regards, by the way. He got helped immensely. He wishes to point out to him that despite Ragnar Oldbrook's ridiculing of him throughout, they're actually old buddies over soul form that do ridicule each other from time to time. It may seem like it was mean, but it was really not. It was all in good spirits. He thought because Michael wasn't around anymore and he was upset to his friend Christine that it was because of the ridicule. No. It had nothing to do with that. Just to answer that question. But with this, I myself, I was very headstrong. And this is a warning to people that want to take on the white knight type of role. Yes, you must be yourself and you must help others, kind of like that Spencer for Hire, Mark Wahlberg mentality. He ended up in jail for 5 years type of thing in the movie. But with Confidential was the name of it, but with myself, I saw these things. And there's just some things you cannot just stand by and allow. You just cannot. My father talked about the warrior must have a home. My warrior had a home by using it. His warrior, he used it. You see, he always taught me, use it. It had to have a home. I used it. He taught my siblings this as well. I ended up using the warrior. Did I get very headstrong? And so he always warned me of being too headstrong. He had the famous phrase, I have enough wisdom, I have enough confidence to know that I am number one, and enough wisdom to know that I'll always be number two. I kind of missed school on that particular phrase, but I understand it, and I understood it, but I didn't always utilize it. I rushed in. And noticed a lot, and I'm glad, and I'm grateful that I noticed these things, but they do have consequences. Max will attest this as well. He noticed these things. He did what they all should be doing. I did these things, and I proudly wear this. But did I, and other people have asked online about my life, did I suffer for very long, or was I targeted? Yeah, yes, for targeting, no one suffering. I am as my oversoul now, and I'm stating now, this is why I came in. I know by note in the noticing, you change things. Just like that test, when you see the thing, you change the thing, or a subject is being observed, you change it, or a particle wave is being observed, it changes. And your perceived reality is imprinted on the other, he would say. A little too brainy in that area. He analyzes way too much. In a nerdy sort of way, I was more of an action man myself. I then paid for that with my human life and existence. My best friend, he had, Michael, he had nothing to do with my death. He felt very guilty and sad over that. He had nothing to do with this. It was someone else that loaded the weapon and rigged it. And turned him, basically wanted to ruin his psyche by making him guilty and murdered me through him. And they sometimes will use pawns to do this without them knowing. With the Alec Baldwin case, he knew quite well. Remember, we were all actors in the end. I'm just not acting right now. I am myself, and I was myself then. The Crow, that movie was more of a tragic murder that came back. It was more of a story of the warrior vengeance. My friend Mark Dacascos took the Eric Draven character and turned vengeance into its own karmic set of circumstances that demons and snakes would haunt you if you murdered people in vengeance. The original story was that the Crow was supposed to be vengeance incarnate or embodied. Him and I kind of argued that point quite often. But in the end, we both played the character of Eric Draven, him in Stairway to Heaven, and me in the original and the one and only and first. So, and I can honestly say this, and that, yeah, I don't care if that's ego driven. So, do you have questions for me?
Just one to really just kind of tie this in a bow from your perspective and from everything you know now, you nor your father were meant to live into old age.
No, not at all. No, not at all. People that walk this path tend not to. Ask Max, because and I didn't, he says, but we all went into this with this understanding. It is to the cause. If these assholes are to the last breath, so shall we be. And this is also, you must go into it with the understanding that life is eternal and goes on. You see each other in the end, always. You see each other. Or like that phrase from your Mission Impossible movies, for those we will never meet. This is why we do this. Just remember this, and Max will attest to this as well. So do you have anything else for me?
No, I think just a statement that if people can get to that place where where they really understand that life is eternal and that fear goes, it's amazing what you can do when that
Yes.
fear no longer has hold of you.
Yes, it's usually people are not afraid of death, but how they
Mhm.
will go. Just know that it does not matter. I suppose if you're eaten by a shark, I suppose, but that's one of his fears. But I guess I'll give him the mulligan on that one. But if you believe life is eternal, it doesn't matter at that point. But I guess the soul does remember, and Michael Jackson has said this. You do remember those traumas. I will say, if you were eaten by a shark, you're damn right you remember that. I had a past life that way that I was showing him, but it was a great white too. A bad way to go. But that's in the soul record and in the library. And the reason when Michael brought it through, he wanted people to understand this so that he could change things here. I came through and went out with a bang. No pun intended. So I will say no further. I will pass this over to Max.
Yes, thank you.
Enter into drama much, do you, Brandon? I will say the method acting and the face paint does you justice for the final act of bravery in this. But this is what is being said, being purveyed. I I wish to say something for the record. I have been around you guys for quite some time and you haven't seen this. But he remembers a version of myself that was going around carrying a weapon, big muscular version. I will say something that is probably going to be unpopular amongst your disclosure community. If you have been endowed with an altar in some program, this altar follows you in death and can occupy a different energetic plane to your own. When you cross in the spirit, but this shade of your experience is left behind and continues to fight on. It is essentially like what Bruce said and Brandon said, the warrior must have a home. It fights in cycles and continues on and continues on. Essentially in a program. He's making a reference to a Next Generation episode where Picard met himself, a version of himself that was caught in a temporal loop. And he tried to convince him otherwise, but that other version wouldn't hear him. This is what he encountered with himself, yourself, and myself. These are shades of times past. This is why he couldn't depict it, couldn't see a time frame, because the time is always now. But is this the person? Or is this just another expression of oversoul? And I say both. But when he moved on, that shade, or an altar can become something other than what you are. If it is separated from yourself, it's like essentially, of course, it's born of a trauma, I will say. But it's like with your nutty professor, where he thinks he has to create another version of him, and it create that thinner version, and then it creates another personality. Or you have like your Moon Knight, for instance, where Mark Spector becomes Stephen Grant when he was traumatized, and that is a completely different alter. That is absolutely true. Or you can have the implanted version of you, or the set of memories that create their own other version. And does this mean that this is you? Yeah, I say it's both, because this is the experience the Oversoul Library wished to experience through us. Do we know the context? And are we also walking in our dream? Are we doing things in our dreams that we're getting retaliation for from both that programming in the subconscious? And he knows this well. This is what causes him his OCD behavior. It did it to myself. And also, there is also a drive from the oversoul and this that continues to get you to fight and move forward. This also drives towards the truth. This was what drove me on a course to oblivion. But I must say, it was one hell of a ride. Did I get addicted to these substances? Did I get mentally unstable? I must say, yes, the mind control did hit me, similar like how it did to Michael, but not quite the diddling personality. But you get what I'm saying. Sometimes those creepy thoughts seep in. It didn't do quite that to me. Sometimes can it put you in overdrive where you don't heed caution. Yes, but it doesn't always mean you were there to heed caution. It meant you were supposed to go until you could not. As they said, life is eternal. If you go into this, that you will never die, like in Star Wars, where New Hope, where if you strike me down, I will become more powerful than I can imagine. I suppose in a slightly less dramatic prose in that way. But what I did, I'm speaking as bigger me. What I did for keeps. I wanted this out there. Even as an investigative reporter, did I get caught up in addiction? Did I get caught up in OCD? Did I get tricked? Did I get murdered with the OD? Yeah, I did. In Warsaw, did they murder me? Yeah, they did. but in a fashion that they could latch onto because some people would just see me as having died of an overdose. With this, they want to put you in a predictable pattern so they can use that to end your life. Don't give them a pattern. Even though life is eternal, respect also why you're here and your mission, and also respect the body that you're in. It doesn't mean, just because life's eternal doesn't mean you waste yourself here. You're here for a reason. Make it so, no pun intended, to Picard or Patrick Stewart there. But with this, or engage, but in this, you must understand. Live why you came in. Your path will always run towards that. No matter what you do, no matter what changes you make, your path will run that course. Now, if an oversoul has active other avatars, will they begin to take the baton and go into another area that maybe this avatar can't? Yeah, that's what your Jeffrey Hunter said when he came through. He felt like he didn't complete because as that avatar, he didn't. The oversoul did through others. But if you're one of the only ones or the only one in that set of timelines, which, yes, that happens a lot, will of course, your oversoul run this course? But yes, does the oversoul need to understand that the soldier on the ground has needs as well as the helicopter pilot, as he likes to say, the soldier going through the building that the helicopter pilot cannot, and that's the communication? Yes. But everything you do, no matter what you are actually doing, is always towards that goal.
Well, thank you for that statement. If I can back up to something you were just talking about, the altars, I am curious from an oversoul's perspective. How would you define what an altar is?
Yes, basically the personality created in the trauma, need of a trauma or traumatic event like the SSP, but some can be instilled in people, and some can also be implanted in clones as well. So there might be another them, an SSP them, that they had their, like, say if you were in two different timelines, you had your personality or your soul dumped into another you. A friend of his saw a duplicate him, or said friends saw a duplicate him running around a neighboring town. This has been known to happen. They call it the doppelganger effect. There's also people replaced with the doppelganger effect as well. But in matters of altars, an altar is created within the self. Bit of trauma that created this, especially in the SSP. If it's from a forgotten time, that altar is still present. And if it's based in programming, very thick, you bet you can create a separate one, just like a separate person, just like in Moon Knight, where you had Stephen Grant and you had Mark Spector, and they were both in the afterlife. You saw as two people, but they were of the same oversoul, and you saw the two smaller beating hearts in this. And you had the third one, which was the executioner, in that, whereas he did what the other two could not. Stephen Grant being the innocent, and Mark Spector being the original or the soldier.
But in that, just so that I really understand what you're saying, in that conversation you're currently using the example of, you're saying three different aspects of an oversoul, but they all shared that same body.
They all shared the same body. Yes, that is the main definition of an altar, but can they transplant something like that into another body? Yes, they have the ability to do this if they can siphon out an altar that has been created and or place one inside of somebody that was not them. They showed this. He wants to say there's an old Tech War episode where a character named Sam Houston, a woman, went in as a operative or a sleeper agent and had another personality put in her head so she could run an op. It was created by a computer. It's written, and this is a real thing, where it's written on a tablet, a character creation profile like you would for a video game, and put into the mind. Sometimes you can take a clone and just program it with that and then put the person's soul into that body or consciousness or a chip like they show in Avatar Way of Water. Same type of thing. Now, that at that point, it would just be another expression of oversoul. But, like what I said with the different avatars. In this, but almost nearly all the time, An alter is born from the self. That is a poltergeist that can also project it out and haunt your own space, so you think they're demons coming at you, but it's your own demons. This is what Bruce was referring. It was a lineage curse that haunted the line, you see. And also his own addictions, his own inhibitions, his own other self, his undisciplined, untethered self. Just like in your Forbidden Planet movie, where the guy altered his psyche to become a higher IQ, but the genetic demons or the lineage curses came with it. It always came with it. That's what conquered those aliens. When they increased their intelligence, they brought out all that was horrible as well. That reflected back out, the whole Forbidden Planet effect. This is what I'm speaking of.
So in previous years, Chris and I would always talk about the ability to take something that was so bad, and again, trauma-based, and even your own personal behaviors that you just wouldn't like, that were so bad. We called it blowing a shard.
Yes.
But literally at that time frame, when we were saying blowing a shard, we really thought it was something that truly became a part of, like Chris blows a shard. There's literally an energetic something outside of his body, no longer connected. We literally meant blow it out there. Is that not really what happened?
Oh, yes, that actually happens as well, where it can form another consciousness. This is also another form of this. But 9/10 of the time, you have blowing a shard, of course. That's in the multiverse somewhere too. You blow a shard, that also creates another reality by which then that trauma exists in a different timeline, you see, as well. But 9/10 of the time, if you believe you're blowing an energetic shard, you're really having a suppressed version of self that is generating an energy that's coming back and biting you, or biting you in the ass, or slapping you in the face. They call this the poltergeist effect, where you haunt your own space. When you have activity in your house, and you have, say, an untapped psionic ability or untapped psychokinetic type of ability, it haunts your space. They always attributed that to women or young girls, but it happens to anybody that has high psionic capabilities. Once you get to a certain level, what you think has less of a filter and can create, like what Bruce said, the overprotectiveness then begots the haunting, you see.
So the example of that, I guess, that I'll use as an example is what actually happened here. And it was me. I guess you would call me at that moment, I was a poltergeist connected to me, more of like a repressed frustration. Because what I was doing, guys, is I was yelling at him all the time. So apparently that, his mother saw me walking around, everyone was hearing me, but it wasn't literally me, because I was like either not here or something, and they're hearing me all around. And then Chris is every now and then getting an earful of something. And it was what you're referring to. It was kind of that, poltergeisty, connected to me, kind of,
Yes.
in a traumatized state, because I will say at that time, there was a lot of stress going on here. So, and that would be an example of it. Now, Chris felt that, and I'm just going to say, he took care of it. He moved it, or he did something to it. Did he actually do that, or whatever happened to that aspect of myself that they were his mother? Again, I wasn't mean to her, folks. That they were hearing me and doing all kinds of things.
One thing was an entity quite a while ago that was more of an old hag entity that was mimicking. Why it was doing this, why it felt it could get away with this, so you wouldn't notice the other thing. In times of great stress, when you're repressing this and becoming stoic, you project this outward. That projects it out as its own demon or ghoul, you see. And what he was seeing was this. What she was seeing was the psionic field gets so strong and the timeline interchanges become so evident in your environment. You're seeing different times as you've been coming and going in the house. They experience this back on Hartley because their combined psionic field, you see, enriches the environment. It is them that are empowering that environment by which the activity, again, chicken and the egg, or the protection by which then begots what is being protected from. Now, if there's something undealt with, fears, traumas, lineage curses, you project this outward, or with yourself, you called this a blown shard. Yes, can you lose little grains of sand of energy that actually get regenerated faster than they go out? I might add. It is more or less kind of like sometimes a Chinese finger trap when you're going looking for soul shards. You will always be looking for them because there's quadrillions of them that the oversoul is constantly replacing and putting back, or replacing and putting it back, like a waterfall that is constantly cycling. That is your soul energy interacting with the water in your body. Can you lose shards and have to ask True Benevolent Source Creator to give you the energies that you need in the moment and then discard the rest? Yes, but I want to tell you a little bit of a secret. This balancing act is happening anyway. You're just asking that it be accelerated, that it is being always put back to center. It's the stressful things that take us off center that are fucking this up. Now, some people might be surprised at this bit of wisdom that I've come in with because I wasn't always like this. But I'm different where I am now, and I don't have that altar in tow. I needed that warrior. I needed it to have a home because I needed it for my mission. He even sees an altar that's gone around speaking Russian, talking to Vladimir Putin and everything. Has he experienced those things in his life? In his SSP times? Yeah, he has. I wouldn't recommend going and talking about it beyond this conversation, mind you. But he's seen dreams of other world leaders and such. Did he do these things? Yeah, I can honestly say yes. But these things have to be figured out over a period of time. But I will say, what is being picked up is a dark night of the soul that has drawn in other things. But in the need for overprotection will then begot what you need to protect from. Now, I'm not saying that you don't need any of the things that you create at all. I'm not saying this. Of course you do. And I wish I had had some of these things around, but I wasn't here for that. Also the teaching of how to protect and going after these demons, yes. But there has to become a rest and decompression period for the mind. And therefore, I didn't experience this either, this decompression period of the mind. I didn't find a place completely to have that warrior have a home unless I was in the field. Unless I was a literal warrior in service, or in service to something. He always says, and also your guides and such always say, whom you serve. And they always say, service to self or service to others. But yes, you have to, there is a form of selfish, that also empowers. You are serving the self, therefore you are qualified to help other people. Or else you continually get sick and open for attack. You see, this, if I could explain anything, if you wish to get further than I did, these are the secrets you must learn.
Well, I thank you, and hopefully, this conversation's rung a bell for a lot of people, hopefully, that are listening to this, to try and find that balance and an appropriate home to allow those energies, to come out. There was a question I had, and now it eluded me. Now it's eluding me, which is rare, but now it really is. So let me think a second. But I'm back to it. All right. So in general, one last question about altars, because it seems to be a lot of talk that's going on right now within the community. And a lot of people who are either, let's just say, seers or channelers, they may tell somebody or whatever that, oh, you have a lot of them. And again, whenever I hear that, I think separate from, like, there's a version over here, there's a version. What are they really seeing? Because I do believe they're seeing something, but what is it that they're seeing?
If you are a victim to these programs, they created altars based on the need at the time, or the job that needed to be created. This is what's being created, but what is created is not being uncreated. Just like what he saw years ago when he saw this nude redhead woman that was conjured within a psionic field. And then he ended up having it uncreate, or like he saw those two paranormal investigators creating someone, creating a thought form and then having to uncreate, or going from birth to death. Or Frank Frazetta said his art pieces became one with his oversoul, and he has his nude ladies that he drew walking around in his oversoul, in the Frazetta land. This is what I am referring to. they get the creative center to generate these things. They get this to happen where you have thousands of them. And that puts you in a very weakened, debilitated state. Even one is taxing if it's strong enough. So everyone in the programs, as he likes to say, they come back with their bolts not completely tightened. This is what is meant by bolts not being tightened, is this.
So in general, if I'm understanding it correctly, I'll just try to put this in layman's terms. First of all, if you were ever in the program, say altered your personality, and that's an alter, and you at least got
Absolutely.
one, you at least got one.
Every single
know.
person from the programs has at least one.
At least one. But if they liked a certain personality type, so if they created you to be in a certain personality type, like for example, you had no fear.
Mhm.
Okay, let's say just use that one.
They would want the warrior, of people that had warrior pasts or medical, they'd stick them in a medical area, or even what he calls the miracle squad, they'd have fake religious such and stigmata and all that. They do that.
But they could literally then instead of having a physical birth of another child, a female having a physical birth, they're getting you to literally birth another personality type, that they then take that little component of it and stick it in a true avatar human DNA skin suit.
And think of it as you are a character creator projector. Just like you can create anything you want and create any universe or any timeline you want. As your young friend would say, whatever ideas you're coming up with, you're pulling from somewhere else. They know this. They know infinite diversity and infinite combinations, and that's how they use to rape the minds of people with.
So they would create these things for certain personality types that they created over there from that first
from the first inception.
From the first, inception of how they tried to change you over there. If they liked it, they would mass produce it.
Yes.
They'd stick them. Now, my question is, does it matter what the avatar body is? Or
No.
It didn't
Not
matter
at all.
as long as that mindset went into something to use.
Not at all. This is where you get the 2000 alters, yes.
Okay, and so again, it doesn't have to be in a body that's cloned of yours. It
No,
can go into
not
anything
at all.
else.
They can put a piece or a molecule in there of yours to make it more grounded and stable to make it work, but they can change the compatibility. He's saying like your Vidians and Voyager, like you mentioned, they had the ability to change the compatibility of organs in that to be able to, so they could harvest anything so that you didn't get rejection. It's the same thing. They have figured that same system out, but for alters.
Right. So I would imagine, because I'm assuming somehow you as the originator are somehow, like you're saying, there's still a string. There's still something going on between you and these other ones, which what I'm
Quantum
assuming,
entanglement.
those quantum entanglements that will drain you. I'm sure it would drain you, right?
Mhm.
So what do you recommend for people to do to get rid of those entanglements? Because don't you think that needs to happen? Those stubborn of that?
Yes, you can integrate alters, you can integrate your SSP memories. Just know your brain can only integrate so much. And yes, if it is your path to do so, then by all means. But just know that when you were in that other brain, it encoded and decoded from the time of childhood right alongside of you. It had a completely different set of experiences. And then when you came back, it altered your personality here because it encoded and decoded differently through that quantum entanglement line. When came back, that's why some people came back completely different with a different personality, is because of that quantum entanglement that paralleled them, you see, and held them back because it was the same particle that existed within the same space-time continuum, and you're not really supposed to do that, you see. That is a violation of the laws of nature. But your oversoul then considers it as another expression. This is why people can't tell the difference between it and a past life, because there really isn't one. But only it's following you and ghosting you for that 20-year period and loops back. Therefore, it changes your personality. And then when it goes back, you loop forward again, and it will put you right where you would have been had that not occurred. Sometimes it may derail you. You may get targeted, so you don't have a normal life. I shouldn't say may, you do. But this is how this process works. They are violating the laws of nature doing this, but this is why also they say Draco can't project. They have great psionic abilities. Well, great, but horrifying is more than likely the case. But they have to use a human as a meat puppet to project further because it's that reptilian brain of theirs. Other demonic entities and dimensionals are the same way. That also your hedge betters, because of their rules, they have to use your creative spark down here to accomplish goals. You see, it's the rolling of the dice. What I'm trying to say is they see co-creation and creativity is so great, they want to mentally rape people over it. And these are one of the things that I discovered myself, but I couldn't completely escape my vices long enough to completely crack that code. But I was on the verge of doing so.
So even for yourself, that I know we're kind of all over the place, but since you brought up yourself, if I surmise this right, or if I don't, then correct me. But it just sounds like there must have been, you had the vice, you had the affinity for certain drugs and whatever, and you had gotten that in there.
Mhm.
So of course, it would seem to me that it would be an opportune time to put around you handlers that would also make sure you had plenty of that.
Yes.
So you could self-sabotage even more.
Yes, and a couple, a particular woman in particular created a bit of my downfall. I will not go any further into this. Just know that there were female handlers and male ones as well. Just like you saw in your Matrix 4 movie, where Neo had a handler program around him that kept trying to divert him away from his computer work. That is actually an accuracy right there. They pinpointed a handler immediately so that that he stayed in his alternate personality and not his true self. That red pilling versus blue pilling, meaning low burning vibration, being low blue flame, red meaning hot. You see.
Mhm. Okay, so again, and what happened to you, I mean, again, putting the handlers around you and doing this, that, and the other, is the same playbook they've been using over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's just they're very clever at making you think that people aren't that, you know,
Yeah.
and that they show up at the right opportune time to try to steer you along, however it is others want you to be steered to, and whatever is coming down
Yeah.
the pike from them.
Uh-huh.
But
And it's virtually very, very hard to detect.
right. So this really is one of those crazy things that, you know, you'd almost say, you know, try not to have too many vices because someone will come along to make you sabotage yourself even more with it.
And if you don't have vices, they will try to, if you're a golden boy or white knight, they'll try to get you other ways. If they can't manipulate, they use force. You see, it's just like your Orwell said, you know, when they've exhausted all other manipulative sources, the final result's force.
Mhm.
This is what I'm talking about. They couldn't manipulate, therefore assassinate.
Right. But we're saying
That we're coming out of that, mind you. You're coming out of this.
right. And we're saying also that we're not gloom and doom here.
No, we're not gloom and
This is not
doom.
gloom and doom
But
telling the story.
you have to co-create that these things aren't going to happen. You can't always be stuck into, oh, defending against this, you're thinking of this, therefore you're incurring this. So you cannot co-create this. I'm not saying they aren't assholes and don't do it. I'm just saying they're less likely, again, if you know that life is eternal, but also protect yourself here, but not so much over so that you are bringing across your own
Right.
doom.
Because if you fear it too much, you do start co-creating it.
Yeah, so what he said was said on Next Generation. If a man knows feels he's going to die, he will find a way to make it happen.
Right, exactly. So, obviously, as Chris was saying, this is kind of a long one. I hope you guys took a potty break or wherever you needed to do, but I'm just going to give you any last words for this particular show.
Yes, in your pursuit of doing the bulldozing a lot of these, I commend you on this effort. Just know it has not been not seen. It has been seen and felt and heard, and ripples and waves have gone across the ethers and cyberspace. Just know that what you say can and will be used against you in a court of law, and what you say also is heard in echoes. Just like your Marcus Aurelius said, what we do in life echoes in eternity. This is where I will leave this. Not in a doom and gloom, but in a co-creative way. So, I thank you. Oh. Ooh, that did go on a while, didn't it? Okay. Wow, that did. Sorry for the length, folks, but this one was a longie. I was basically trying to get all the rest of the questions in pre-conference. So any other questions that come in, I'm saving that till post-conference. Thank you for all of that, and I hope this didn't go on so long that again you still had to take a potty break, or you psychically just kind of zoned
Well,
out,
hopefully
mentally
they
zoned out.
turned it off for a second, took a break and came back to it later. You can do that.
He's still talking. What's happening? That kind of thing. Yeah, and some people have complained about that, by the way. Apparently, I talked the head off a crutch. So yes. So especially when I get into this mode, the energy goes up, and the rest. So I don't know if you have anything else to add.
No.
Okay. I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas as of this moment in time. So thank you, everybody. Bye bye now. All right. I just realized I never read the last affirmation and blessing here. Sorry to Bruce Lee for doing this. After the galactic elemental spirit world contribution, they have to say those three as well. So, affirmation and blessing. To those dealing and grappling with death, just know to curse oneself is a crime, but to curse others as you fall is a crime against humankind. And that's a channeling of the son of actor, martial artist, and philosopher Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee. So, I now close this circle within true benevolence and no conflicting agendas of this moment in time. So, thank you. Bye-bye.